Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're trying something pretty ambitious. We're looking at reality, physics, chemistry, biology, society, not as separate boxes, but as one continuous unfolding process.
Right, because if the universe follows unified laws, why does it seem to split into these, well, distinct domains? We know they emerge from each other, but we've kind of lacked a solid map explaining the rules behind that emergence.
Exactly. What are the rules?
And that's really the core of what we want to dig into today. We're exploring a framework from Dr. Nimrod Israeli, which is grounded in something called the Universal Law of Increasing Complexity, or ULIC.
No, LIP. Okay.
And the sources present this not just as an idea, but as a rigorous, repeatable method, a scientific way to identify the real sort of non-negotiable layers of existence,
Right.
all the way from the quantum level up to, consciousness.
So the mission here for you listening is to get a single coherent picture, how the physical, the biological, the social worlds, how they all follow this one continuous rhythm.
A rhythm of advancement, yeah. And the key idea, the absolute heart of it, is that emergence happens when three specific variables line up.
Right.
When they achieve enough alignment, basically, to create some new, lasting capability.
Three variables. Okay, what are they?
They sound simple, almost deceptively so. It's energy E, structure S, and direction.
D. Energy, structure, direction. ESD.
Energy is the fuel, right? The potential that's available.
Yes.
Structure is the organization, how the components are set up to sort of channel that energy.
In direction. That's the guiding principle.
Exactly. And what's fascinating, as you mentioned, is how direction changes. In physics, it's fixed laws. In biology, it becomes like genetic instruction.
And in society.
It shifts again to conscious purpose, shared values, that kind of thing. It becomes internal or collective.
Okay, E, S, and D.
Mhm.
But there's an intermediate step you mentioned.
Yes, this is crucial. What happens when structure S and direction D combine? That gives us something called Ginordo.
Ginordo. Okay, define that.
Ginordo is the internal order, the governance, that's created when structure is multiplied by direction. So G equals S times D. It's a measure of how well the system's setup serves its purpose.
Right, and it has to be multiplication, not addition. Why is that so important?
Well, think about it. If you just added them, you could have tons of structure, but like zero direction, and still get a positive result.
Like a perfectly built factory with no plan for what to make?
Exactly. It achieves nothing. G would be zero, or, immense passion and direction, but absolutely no structure, no organization to make it happen.
Also zero. They have to work together.
They have to multiply. They need coherence, some non-zero alignment for that internal governance Ginordo to even exist.
Okay, so once you have that internal order, that Ginordo, what's next?
Then complexity emerges. Complexity C is the system's realized capability, and we define it as energy multiplied by Ginordo. So C equals E times G.
E times G.
And a new, stable layer of existence only really locks in when that complexity hits a certain point, a threshold of coherence, TC. It's like the system suddenly clicks into a new, stable architecture.
So high energy meets organized structure, guided by direction.
Yeah.
Boom. A new capability stabilizes.
That's the rhythm, the oldest one in the universe, arguably.
But stabilization needs proof, right?
Yeah.
How do we know if what we're seeing, an atom, a cell, a market, is a real confirmed layer and not just, a temporary phase?
That's where the formal method comes in. The 14 diagnostic criteria. This is the toolkit.
The toolkit to turn intuition into something verifiable.
Precisely. It's the litmus test. Now, these 14 criteria are grouped, but the standard is really high. A potential layer has to satisfy all 4 of the foundational criteria.
All 4 non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. And then it also needs to satisfy at least 10 out of the total 14 criteria. That includes the foundational ones, plus others from the structural and expressive groups.
Okay, hold on. Why 10 out of 14? That sounds a bit specific. Arbitrary, maybe?
That's a fair question. It forces us to think about why the framework is built this way. The number isn't random. It reflects the redundancy and resilience a system needs to be truly independent, truly stable.
So the 4 foundational ones confirm it's real and irreducible.
Exactly. And the other 6 required from the other groups confirm it's sustainable and integrated. It's not just a local fluke, it's a persistent kind of universal feature.
Makes sense. Let's focus on those 4 foundational criteria then. The non-negotiables. What's number 1?
Number 1 is the law of explanatory discontinuity, LED.
Explanatory discontinuity. Meaning,
Meaning the old rules break down. The laws of the previous layer, the preceding domain, they just can't fully explain the new thing.
like Newtonian physics can't really explain atomic structure.
Perfect example, or maybe more relatable. The rules of chess don't explain a chess tournament. You need new concepts, rankings, prize money, sportsmanship. The old language isn't enough.
Okay, that's LED. What's next?
Emergent capability. A totally new function appears, something genuinely impossible before.
Like stability itself in the early universe, or maybe reproduction in biology.
Exactly like that. An irreducible new power. Third is distinct governance.
New rules for the new game.
You got it. A unique organizational logic has to appear to manage this new capability. If the old rules still work fine, it's not a new layer. Think chemistry to biology. The governance shifts from just chemical bonds to, like, genetic code and information architecture.
Okay, LED, emergent capability, distinct governance, and the last foundational one.
The ultimate test, really, the dependence criterion.
Dependence, meaning higher layers depend on this one.
Precisely. Higher layers must rely on this new layer to even exist. If you could somehow remove this layer, everything built on top of it would collapse.
So that's why it's a staircase metaphor. Remove a step.
And everything above crashes down. Take out the molecular layer, layer 4, and poof, no biology, no society. If it's not indispensable, it's not a fundamental layer.
Okay, that diagnostic framework feels solid. Let's apply it. Starting with the physical domain, the universe's first attempt at order.
Right. The physical domain is where energy first learned containment. But here's where applying the ULIC criteria gets really interesting. Our sources point out there seems to be a kind of missing step.
A missing bridge. Between what?
Between pure energy, which we can call layer 1 or the baseline condition, and the first stable things we usually think of, like atoms, which are layer 3.
So there's a layer 2.
There has to be, according to the criteria. And the framework designates this missing bridge as Nixia, layer 2, the quantum field regime.
Nixia, okay, what is that exactly?
Nixia is that moment, that transition, where the fundamental quantum fields first condense into stable, persistent excitations. Things like quarks, leptons, the gauge bosons. Before Nixia, you just had, well, undifferentiated potential energy.
So the emergent capability of Nixia is energy containment, particles forming.
Exactly. Containing energy into distinct, persistent particle forms. And its governance, defined entirely by things like symmetry principles, electroweak dynamics, quantum rules.
And it passes the explanatory discontinuity test.
Perfectly. You absolutely need quantum field theory to describe Nixia. General relativity, Einstein's field equations, they just don't work at that scale for those phenomena.
Wow. So Nixia is the first confirmed step on the staircase where energy actually learns to hold a shape.
According to this framework, yes.
Yeah.
The first structural achievement. Once you have that containment,
The next steps happen faster.
relatively, yes.
Right.
You get atomic structure, layer 3, stability through the balance of fundamental forces, electromagnetic, strong and weak, nuclear. The new governance is about electron shells, quantization. You need the Schrödinger equation now.
Different math, different rules.
Totally. And then you get molecular chemistry, layer 4. And this isn't just about bigger atoms sticking together. It's a fundamental shift.
From stability to creativity.
That's a great way to put it. The emergent capability is reactivity, the ability to constantly change, combine, interact. And the governance shifts, again, it's about valence, polarity, the 3D shape of molecules. This sets the stage for complex information processing.
Which sounds like the perfect setup for dot life.
Yeah,
The biological domain.
exactly. That dynamic chemical platform allows for the next huge leap, biology.
And here, the big change is direction, right? It stops being external laws like gravity.
And becomes internal, endogenous, self-directed purpose. Chemistry gave us interaction. Biology introduces instruction. Memory, self-maintenance coded right in.
Let's trace the biological layers quickly. We start with unicellular life, layer 5.
Right. The first, self-sustaining biological coherence. And the governance is revolutionary. The genetic code. An information architecture that copies itself.
Amazing. But single cells aren't the end game. We get multicellular life, layer 7. That must require a massive governance shift.
Oh, absolutely. You can't have billions of cells just doing their own thing. Governance has to centralize.
Hormones, neural network.
Precisely. Coordinating all those individual parts to act as one unified organism. The emergent capability is huge, systemic resilience, scale, specialization.
And the peak of that biologic complexity, according to the framework.
Cognitive life, layer 9. The emergent capability is breathtaking. Symbolic thought, abstract representation. The universe starts to model itself inside brains.
And the governance for that.
Highly integrated neural coordination, memory consolidation. It allows for projecting possibilities for foresight, planning.
Foresight and abstraction.
Mhm.
That leads directly into the social domain, doesn't it?
Immediately. Because now the quest for alignment for Ginordo changes again. Direction becomes collective. Meaning itself becomes structural. Think institutions, laws, shared stories.
Let's look at an early social layer.
Yeah.
Agricultural civilization, layer 10. What's the shift there?
The emergent capability is foresight on a societal scale, planning for seasons, storing surplus, and the new governance involves calendars, irrigation systems, land ownership rules. Property relations become key.
Managing resources over time.
Right, and that allows for denser populations leading to urban civilization, layer 11.
Where the capability is. Innovation.
Innovation through intense interaction, what you might call social metabolism. Ideas bumping into each other constantly, and the governance evolves again. Formal institutions, markets, standardized money.
Okay, this really highlights the power of alignment, Ginordo, in the social world. You used a contrast, the sources use one, between an isolated farmer and a community.
Yes, it's a powerful illustration. Think of a lone farmer, the Solinist example. They might have high energy, working incredibly hard, and some structure tools, land.
But their direction is isolated.
Very isolated. Vulnerable to bad luck, bad weather, illness. Their Ginordo, that internal coherence, S times D, is low and fragile. Prosperity is precarious.
Okay, now compare that to, what was the term? A value-coherent community. Like the kibbutz example, layer 15 in the full model.
Right. Here the community aligns its direction through shared goals and values, and it creates structure cooperative institutions to support that direction.
So structure and direction synchronize.
And bang, Ginordo skyrockets. That shared alignment transforms individual effort into collective power, resilience, sustained prosperity. It's not magic, it's structure.
So the framework suggests things like prosperity, stability, even justice.
Yeah.
They aren't random.
Not at all. They're predictable outcomes of successful ESD alignment, structural achievements.
Okay, so we've traced the past using this framework.
Yeah.
But you said its real power might be predictive, looking ahead.
That's the exciting part, yes.
Yeah.
It helps us see where energy, structure, and direction might be aligning now to form the next layers.
So what's emerging?
Well, one major one is digital cognitive networks, emerging layer 15. This feels like a huge shift from purely material coherence to informational coherence, human thought extending beyond individual brains.
Like the internet, AI, global communication network.
All of that. Governance is shifting, too, towards algorithms, consensus protocols, away from old top-down hierarchies.
But why is it labeled emerging and not confirmed? What's missing?
It mainly stumbles on the dependence criterion and environmental integration. Think about it. This whole layer runs on fragile physical stuff. Power grids, servers, cables, rare earth minerals.
Finite resources, vulnerable infrastructure.
Totally. It lacks true self-sustaining stability and energy independence, a massive solar flare, a global grid collapse, and layer 15 could just vanish. It's not robust enough yet.
That vulnerability points directly to the next challenge, doesn't it? The framework suggests we need a layer focused on direction at a global scale.
Yes, the ethical directional layer, emerging layer 16. As our technological power and complexity grow, the need for shared values, for principles that can align action across all this diversity becomes, well, absolute.
Technology alone isn't enough.
It can't be. The framework suggests this new governance needs to act almost like a gravitational field of meaning. Shared purpose, strong ethical principles that stabilize the global structure and channel all that energy productively. Without it, the digital layer just fragments or fights itself.
A planetary immune system of values, almost.
Yeah.
And that leads to the final layer on the horizon.
The biggest scope. The planetary coherence layer. Probable future layer 17.
Wow, what does that look like?
This is the stage where everything integrates the biosphere, the global economy, the digital networks into a single self-regulating system, like a planetary organism.
Systemic self-regulation on a global scale, monitoring and correcting its own imbalances.
It sounds like science fiction, but it's the logical endpoint of increasing complexity and coherence, the ultimate structural achievement, perhaps.
So let's bring this back home, the core lesson running through all of this.
It's that the universe advances through this rhythm of alignment, energy, structure, direction synchronizing. Each confirmed layer, Nixia, the atom, the cell, society, is a moment where these three hit that threshold of coherence and lock in a new, stable reality.
A new set of rules.
A new operating system, yeah. This framework, ULIC, it's like a diagnostic compass. It shows stability, prosperity, resilience. They aren't luck. They're structural features that follow understandable laws.
A universal architecture, built step by step.
Exactly.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought for you, the listener. If the universe's goal, so to speak, is this continuous, successful alignment, maximizing Genordo,
Then maybe our human goals, like prosperity and justice, aren't just nice ideas we invented.
they're reflections of that same universal process.
They could be the same phenomenon, just viewed differently. Prosperity as economic alignment, economic Genordo. Justice as institutional alignment, institutional Genordo. Both are outcomes of conscious, successful structuring that maximizes coherence.
So the biggest challenge we face isn't necessarily building faster computers or bigger rockets.
Maybe the ultimate complexity is designing conscious institutions, conscious values that truly reflect this deep universal architecture. Achieving that coherence, that alignment, that seems to be the work ahead for all of us.